Hi, everyone. We're back again for another conversation here about VeriPura. I'm Tom, and this is Onno.
Hi there.
We're the co-founders of VeriPura. And today we're going to spend a little time talking about the approach to funding VeriPura, what we've been through, and what we're planning to do. So Onno, why don't we start out by you sharing with everybody a little bit again, for those who are just joining us for the first time, what is VeriPura and what are we planning to do?
Well, VeriPura is a platform for farmers, processors, and buyers interested in clean food, traceable food. We try to build a marketplace where transactions are for these parties, proving that the food from Thailand, where I am based, is free from any pesticides, any residues, grown in a responsible way, proving that it's clean.
I thought we would share a little bit about our experience in raising funding for the company and some of the different sources of funding that we looked at above and beyond, bootstrapping the business. Right? And I have been investing in this for the last year, and developing our MVP, talking to the marketplace. We've acquired some commitments from customers and others to participate. We have a stellar team of advisors that are now joining us. So we're getting traction, making progress. But with any startup, key is raising money to help fund the growth and to get the product in the marketplace. And so one of the things that we looked at to start was some of these companies that exist who offer to help raise funds or promote your business, to investors. Right? Typically, they offer some services where they help shape up your presentation. They help you with the refinement of your business model. They can, right? And then they have a database of investors, large databases, and depending on the firm, they send out your information to large numbers. And oftentimes they have different tiers, right, of services that they offer. Talk a little bit about your experience. We both talk about this, but talk a little bit about your experience in dealing with those sorts of companies.
Sure. I think we've been talking to these groups or companies for about 6 months, and it's from small ones to bigger ones. What I found very positive is the information we got from them. They helped us in a big way. The deck, the information needed to be in the deck, the requirements for the financial model. Quite often the feedback was we incorporated in new versions of the deck, and I learned a lot because they all work following the same model, right? I mean, they want to see the same information. So for me, that was a new exercise. I believe you've been doing this before, so I thought that was good to do.
We found that there's some interesting activities going on in the digital asset world, right? In the crypto world, where there's the ability to raise money without giving away equity in the business. And on the other side, with the investor, the person who's making the contribution without them risking the principal. And that's a really interesting and different approach to the venture capital world. In the venture capital world, if you're a person who's putting money in through a venture VC fund that's then investing it, you're risking everything.
Right.
You risk everything. If you're an angel investor, the same thing is true, right? So you have to, any money that you put into a startup has to be viewed as money that you can afford to lose, because in the current model, an overwhelming majority of the time you do. And so what you do, and if you're in either of those, you look to spread the risk across multiple investments. We hope that 1, 2, or 3 of them pay off. But today we found a model where you can make an investment without risking the principal, and that's and so this is an approach that we're now tapping into and launching, right? Using a platform called Benify, BENNY fi.io is where you can find it. If you're a holder of a digital asset, right, you can stake this asset, right, and enter into a contract for a yield from the stake. And these yields differ depending on what kind of staking you're doing. The yield from that asset would go to fund the project, in our case, VeriPura, right? The yield goes to fund the project. That digital asset, let's say it's Ethereum or any sort of digital asset, is still yours, right? It's working, right? It's producing a yield. Think of it as a deposit in the bank. It's producing interest. The principal is still yours. The interest goes to the company that you want to support or the activity you want to support. So at the end of the day, that digital asset you stake for a period of time, could be a month, could be 3 months, 6 months, a year, for a predetermined return. Depending on the risk level of the return, you can go from a few percent, 4 or 5%, up to 18 to 20%. Annualized. That money goes towards the project that you want to support. And at the end of that staking period, you get your principal back.
And the beautiful thing is you get something extra, right? You can get some tokens, and this brings us more or less back to VeriPura, if I can add to that. Tokenization is part of the Benify platform, but tokenization is also key in our thinking, right? The marketplace is based on tokenization. So the funding is fun, but the actual transactions on the platform also can be tokenized. And that's why we both businesses match and connect. And that's the very interesting about Benify in this new way of funding. I like to call it crowdfunding 2.0.
Yeah, it really is. It's crowdfunding with digital assets without any risk, right? Without the risk. The only risk you have is the fluctuation value of that digital asset during the time that you have it tied up as a stake, right?
Right.
This is it. If you put in the value of one Ethereum, you get that back, right? So, but as you mentioned, what you also get are tokens that are the coin of the realm in the business, right? That have value within the business ecosystem, and over time, as the value within the business ecosystem increases, those tokens can be exchangeable and tradable, right, on external platforms. And so, if, for example, a farmer can use these tokens to take classes or to acquire a discount, or possibly on a product, and they want to acquire more tokens. If I'm a token holder and I don't have but I'm not a farmer, I can offer my tokens for sale at a value determined by the marketplace, and recoup some of the value that I've gotten from my participation in VeriPura. Is that an accurate way to describe it?
It is. It's a complex subject, so we need to be careful not to go too much in at this moment. But it's intriguing, and it's like you described. It's beneficial for the funders, but also the users of the platform, being farmers, but also the processors and in the end the buyers, and maybe even the consumer